Adding cashmere to your retail lineup signals a specific level of luxury to your customers, but securing that raw material requires sourcing fiber from goats surviving in the freezing, high-altitude climates of Inner Mongolia. Because global demand far exceeds the natural yield of these specific goats, the market is flooded with synthetic blends and low-grade fibers disguised as the real thing. Securing authentic, high-grade garments directly from established, reputable mills requires massive upfront capital. To avoid that cost, many buyers turn to generic domestic wholesalers. These suppliers often use short, coarse grade C fibers, which legally qualify to wear a 100% cashmere tag, even though the garment feels rough and degrades quickly. Independent brands are forced into a dangerous wager. They either risk their entire operating budget on massive overseas orders, or they risk their luxury reputation by selling inferior garments. This diagram illustrates the traditional sourcing route. To maximize the profit margin on every single unit, a brand bypasses intermediaries and deals directly with an overseas factory through a sourcing agent. The immediate consequence of this route is volume. Factories demand a minimum order quantity, or MOQ, of 300 units or more just to turn on the machines. Then come the operational hurdles. You are managing extreme time zone differences, language barriers, unpredictable customs delays, and a total lack of legal recourse within the US if a shipment arrives defective. An alternative model uses a Stateside Bridge. A company like US Cashmere operates out of Los Angeles, connecting brands directly to the same Mongolian mills trusted by top European luxury houses. Choosing between crushing inventory minimums and domestic quality fade leaves independent retailers stuck. The market requires a sourcing model that absorbs the overseas risk. A US-based intermediary acts as a buffer. They take on the international logistics and the massive factory minimums, allowing you to access the supply chain with significantly less exposure. This matrix compares sourcing dynamics. Instead of 300-item upfront commitments, the US Cashmere model drops the minimum to 20 units. You mix sizes without trapping cash. Trade-off? Intermediaries absorb manufacturing risk, making per-unit costs slightly higher. You trade maximum margin for extreme agility. For an emerging boutique, preserving liquid capital to adapt to seasonal trends will keep the business alive much longer than squeezing one extra percentage point of margin out of a massive, immovable stockpile. This cross-section shows cashmere fibers. Authentic grade A Mongolian cashmere requires fibers over 34 millimeters long and under 16.5 microns in diameter. Generic suppliers use shorter, thicker fibers that break easily under friction, causing rapid pilling after a few wears. The US Cashmere model bypasses the open market entirely by locking in production with specific European standard mills that strictly enforce high grading protocols on the raw fleece. The trade-off here is control. You rely on the intermediaries' internal vetting and quality control teams, rather than flying to Inner Mongolia to audit the herds and spinning facilities yourself. Relying on a trusted US entity with verifiable standards acts as your primary insurance policy against brand-damaging customer returns. Once you secure a reliable source, you must choose between buying pre-existing wholesale stock or commissioning custom manufacturing, specifically OEM, where a factory produces your exact technical designs, or ODM, where you rebrand the factory's existing designs as your own. Buying wholesale means your inventory is already produced, packaged, and sitting in a Los Angeles warehouse, ready to ship. Because the product is already stateside, you avoid international transit entirely. Orders arrive at your storefront in 3 to 5 business days, allowing mid-season restocks. By contrast, commissioning a custom private label run through those same luxury tier artisans requires a longer lead time, typically taking 14 to 21 business days before the product even ships. Your required sourcing path depends entirely on how accurately you can forecast your seasonal demand versus how fast you need to react to sudden retail trends. This chart maps sourcing by capital risk and need for customization. Budget-conscious boutiques belong in the bottom left, requiring low risk and no proprietary designs, perfect for the 20-unit wholesale model. Conversely, brands building unique specifications sit in the bottom right, utilizing custom manufacturing. Aligning your specific business profile with the correct supply chain model strips away the operational friction that usually bankrupts emerging fashion labels. There is a profile that should avoid this model entirely. If you operate a corporate mega brand capable of clearing 1,000-unit minimums and you employ full-time agents on the ground in Asia, an intermediary is unnecessary. At that massive scale, you are better served managing the direct, high-risk supply chain yourself to capture every fraction of a % of profit margin. But for independent retailers, the value lies in bridging American legal security with the flawless execution of European luxury standards. In a famously opaque global market, paying a slight premium for US-based accountability, verified grade A fiber, and low order minimums is the safest, most reliable path to stocking authentic luxury.